So we are now at the second step of our intake process. Another thing to mention is that we can see in our sidebar that we are not able to jump ahead in the process. So for instance, I can't click on this financial information and jump there, but we can go backwards. So once you've completed a step, you'll notice it's clickable in the sidebar, and we can go back to that previous step if we need to make any changes. So again, the second step of our intake is generally going to be our applicant conflict check results. So this is that same list view that I mentioned you may not be able to see the pop-up in our pre-screen process. What we're seeing here is, of course, all of the potential conflicts for this client that are in our system currently. You'll notice here that you're going to see different types of people in the system. So we can see most of these are clients, but we also have a couple of alias records, adverse parties. Now the name as well as the case ID is going to be clickable for the clients, and of course the case clickable for your adverse parties. So if we need to go see more information about this particular case, we think it might be the same person, but we're not sure. Again, we can click to open that up, see the profile. All the way on the right is going to be the score, which is essentially saying why this person popped up in the conflict search results. So all of these are going to be first name matches, last name matches. And then as we get down to one that has a date of birth entered, that's going to be lower on the list because our date of birth doesn't match what we entered. So even though the first name and last name match, our date of birth doesn't match, so it puts it a little bit farther down on the list there. We also have a radio button as our first column that will show for all of our client people that show on the list here. And that is allowing you to associate your new case with a previous client. So if I see this here, we'll say that this test is the same person, but we had previously opened a divorce case with them, closed it out, and now they've come back for a different issue. We can associate them with that client record instead of creating a new separate one, just by clicking on that radio button here. Now, as I scroll down, I also have a couple of other options on this page to conflict search additional people. The first one is the additional names. So if I click on this button, I can enter another name for this client. Typically, these are things like aliases, former names, and maiden names, but you may have some other options in the list. So we'll say that our client has an alias of Test Smith. We have a Save and Search button. And what that will do is basically just reload our page with our new conflict results at the top here. So now we're seeing any results for that alias or additional name. And I can enter as many of those as I need to. So if we also had a maiden name or former name, we could enter that as well and search on it. And if I want to go back to searching on my original client name, I still have that button here for that. So I can go back to my original search results there. We also have the option at this stage to add additional non-adverse parties or family members. So we'll add in a spouse for our client here. And again, we have the Save and Search button, which will, again, use that same section at the top to try and find any search results, conflict results. And again, just like with our additional names, we could enter as many family members as we need to here and search on all of them. But once we've done all of our adding and our searching, we'll want to come down to our final section here and choose our client conflict status, either conflict or no conflict. We also have a note box if we have any notes pertaining to that. And you may have a duplicate status field as well. Now, even though the system is giving you all of those results at the top and giving you the score, it's not going to determine for you whether there's a conflict or not. So a person always has to come here to our conflict status field and set that for that to be set on the case. And then lastly, of course, we see our note box again at the bottom here with that note that I typed in. So we'll just add a little note to that as well. Also with your note boxes, most of them you'll notice have some lines in the bottom right corner, which just means that you can drag it to make it bigger. So if you're not seeing all of your notes on the screen, you can always drag it and make it a little bit bigger there. So we'll hit continue.